Welcome to Business Over Beer, where entrepreneurs, small business owners, and people passionate about what they do bring us their stories and their favorite beer. Hosted by Ben Surratt, Jonathan Kaler, and Jason Canope, it's time to get down to business and drink some beer.
And part of it is that it's an interesting concept to try to explain an exhibit to someone and say like this is what it's going to be and talk with them about it. And I found no matter how many times we walk through and say like this is what it's going to look like and da 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 da, people still have a hard time really conceptualizing it until it's physically there in the space. And so we have this kind of ethos that, you know, when we put something up, it's the first draft. People will come in and they'll look at it and say, well, hey, you're missing my story, or this part of this story is not here, or this story has more to it, or things like that. And so we welcome that feedback. And once we reach a critical mass with that, we're like, well, let's redo the panel, or let's update the panel, or let's add a panel, or let's add an object, or let's add some kind of element that allows your voice to be expressed. And that's through like a lot of conversations and multiple people coming in. Obviously, we're not going to let just like one person come in and be like, you got this thing that I believe wrong. And it's like, well, that's not true. You know?
Okay, Canope.
Yeah, you got that, Canope.
Yeah. But we are here to listen to the community engage, and we're also here to facilitate the expression of the community's voice and not our own. And in the first draft, a lot of times we've worked really hard to try to connect with the community. But again, till you have it up and people can immerse themselves in the space, they may not always fully understand what they want to say. And once they get in there and they start talking with us and people start communicating, we're like, cool, let's update this and let's, you know, add this to it. Like one of the pieces for the music exhibit is there was things called all city musicals that we completely missed. That was like huge in the crowd in the 50s and the 60s. And people have kept talking to us about it. And we've basically said, hey, send us a write-up on what these are and give us a few people that know about them. And we will swap out a panel and do an all city musicals case once we can get enough information. And so that's the part of that piece where we just, you know, it's a draft. And we have gotten so cost effective with our exhibit production and our paneling. We do it through J2 blueprinting, and they've done an amazing job of getting us material that's not super expensive, but it was really nice, that it's not like a huge cost for us to update or change a panel. And we also build the panels specifically so we can amend the exhibits. So like if you look at some of the paneling, they may have like little square boxes where there's text. We can actually take that one little square box and write a whole new segment for it and actually get a cling and put that cling over that little segment to amend that panel.
Smart.
And this wasn't a, you know, nice community-based reason for it, but we did screw up on a panel, and there are a couple up there that have amendments because we misspelled something, which, you know, in the editing process, you're editing hundreds of words and you're going through numerous panels pretty quickly because we have to do this. We usually have to do these at a pretty quick pace because, you know, again, we're not super flush with funding. We can't sit here and like, you know, stew for years on something and have high-minded conversations. We're like, all right, we just got to get it done. But we can fix things and we can change things because we design them with that intent when we lay them out.
I mean, let's keep it in perspective. You have 4 employees.
Yeah,
you know, so I think we'll give you a little bit of grace there. Well, Bradley, my goodness, I think it's safe to say that this is the either we're idiots. All right, let me rephrase that. We're idiots.
We're idiots.
We're idiots.
Yep.
But nonetheless, either we're idiots or this is one of the biggest uncovered gems in Vancouver and all of Southwest Washington. We have so much gratitude, and we're so thankful that you let us come and spend the afternoon here and walking us through the brewery exhibit, which we'll talk a little bit more about here in a minute. But everything that you're doing telling stories, building community. It is 100% what we're all about here at Business Over Beer. And so to share your time, to share your space with us this afternoon, we're really appreciative. It was a hell of a lot of fun. And please let us know how we can help continue to support you and what you're trying to do for the community. So we're going to leave it there for now. But before we go, Ben,
Bradley,
it's time.
it is time for the final question, Bradley. Are you ready?
All right.
You ready? You just got done. This is a two-part question, by the way.
Oh, man.
Man, you're on a roll with the two-part questions,
This is a
man.
good one, too. This is a good
Can you add a
one.
third part in by chance? Just go ahead and add a third
Well, no, he's gonna do two-parters for a few months, and then it'll naturally evolve into three-parters. Sure.
So we'll prepare ourselves that I'm going to ask you to repeat the second part, right? You can thank your wife for that.
Say what now? You just got done taking a haunted tour. And Doc Brown is there waiting for you with the DeLorean, and he says, Bradley, here are the keys. You can go anywhere. First question, where is that haunted tour? And the second, where are you taking that DeLorean?
Oh, man. Where's the haunted tour? So that one would probably be the Winchester Mansion.
That's the one they keep building.
That was the one where she
Yes.
kept building. I've never had a chance. We went down, my wife and I went down for one of our anniversaries to San Francisco, and we never made it that far. And I'm a big folklore fan. I love folklore. And that's kind of like modern folklore of how Sarah Winchester built out this mansion. So the tour would be there, obviously. And then where would I take that DeLorean? That's a fantastic question. Oh, man. I mean, there's just so many moments in history, right?
November 5th, 1955.
Oh, I'd probably take it back to the early period of the Constitution. And not to give an exact definitive date, because I'd kind of like to kick around multiple pieces of that. I mean, I'd be a fan of sitting around watching them debate the Articles of Confederation and how those were a disaster. That'd be fun just to watch. But
And how much beer they had.
yeah. But just to be back in that period, I think for me as someone who really has spent time studying that through my degree and just hearing the discussions, and this is not one of those things where I like want to go back to find the definitive answer and come back and be like, you're wrong to everybody. Mine would literally be like, this is an interesting moment where history and knowledge and study was kind of culminating in what we are now living out today, and being able to just maybe even have a conversation with James Madison, the father of the Constitution, would just be, I think, interesting. Again, not for answers, like just have a conversation about the thinking behind it, because I just don't think there are answers out there for what I sometimes people want to try and figure out. I think it was a debating time and a real time of pondering some real long-standing governmental thinking. So I think that would be an interesting period to go back in and be able to just kind of
Love it, man.
tool around.
Love it.
Very cool.
Love it.
Well, Bradley, again, thank you for joining us. If people want to find out more about the Clark County Historical Museum, how they can support you guys, how they can be a member, some of the other programs, please, now is your opportunity to promote yourself and promote your programs. Where do you want to send people to try to find out how they can support your great organization?
Yeah, so the first thing, you can go to our website, which is www.cchmuseum.org, which is Clark County History obviously abbreviated, museum.org. And in there, obviously we have all of our programs, events, and things that we're doing. And then under the shop tab, people can jump into there, and that's how you can become a member. We've just worked the site, so it's much easier to use these days. And then just liking us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and following our feeds. We're pretty active. We post all the time. We have events all the time. So liking us on our social media and following us there is really helpful. So those main two places. And then once, we're able to safely get things back up and running, come in and just say hi, come and visit us. I mean, you want a cheap day visit. I mean, we're like $5 admission, $10 for a family of 4. I mean, it's pretty cheap. And then even membership, $40 is a year for one person, 60 for a family of 4. I mean, that's like a dinner out for a family, $60. And that there does something that means something. I mean, not that your dinner doesn't mean something, but like that helps preserve an object. We have the first piano in the Pacific Northwest in our collection. We have things that are very important that we care for. And so you toss in once a year, $60 our way for a family of 4, 40 for an individual membership. We use that money very efficiently and effectively. So it's incredible. So that's at our website. You can go to the shop and check that out. And then again, follow us on social media and just keep track of what we're doing. Yep.
Very cool. He's never been out to dinner with my family.
You're a 2 membership dinner family.
We are.
We call that an associate membership.
Prost. Bradley, I would also be remiss. I actually had this as a note, the very top note on my notebook. You are expecting... I want to say congratulations. I heard that you're having a little girl, I believe, right?
I am, yeah.
Congratulations again. This is number...
It's number 3.
Yeah, wow. Fantastic, man. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Best of luck
you.
on that as well.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Canope,
Yeah.
if people want to find business over beer, where do they go? He keeps looking at me.
Well, yeah, all right, well. I get it
Walking
then.
tours of Vancouver. You can find us at bizoverbeer.com. That's bizoverbeer.com. You can find our social media handles there. You can find ways to watch our podcasts, listen to our podcasts. There's even a new tab on there. Maybe you can give us a little bit of information on, Ben?
Are you talking about our Patreon?
I am talking about the Patreon.
This is a great opportunity for people not to just listen to the Business Over Beer podcast, but to be part of the experience of the Bob. You get cool stuff.
Check.
You get a picture of 3 good-looking cats.
Signed.
Two and Canope. Autographed. Check.
You get to listen to this podcast, this episode early.
Check.
You get to have exclusive video content that nobody else can see. And you get a bottle opener that has Business Over Beer on it. Am I missing anything, Kaler?
Well, Ben, we spent the first maybe half hour or so here at the Clark County Historical Museum getting in Bradley's words, a nuts and bolts walkthrough of the history of brewing and distilling in Southwest Washington exhibit. And so, a couple things on that. Number one, if you become a Patreon, you will get access to that walkthrough of that exhibit.
Mm-hmm.
Bradley, remind us, how long has your building been closed down?
About 5 months.
That's right. Do you expect your building to be open by the time this is published in early October?
Signs say unlikely.
Okay. That's right. But in all seriousness, the exhibit is super cool. If you love beer and or history, you can actually see the entire exhibit walking through with some really cool special insights from the executive director of the museum. But the other really cool thing about that is and it's not too late, all of our proceeds that we get for Patreon, a portion of those proceeds are going to support directly to the Clark County Historical Museum. Woo-hoo. And any new sign-ups in October will get that same treatment as well. Even if we don't get those proceeds in October, anybody who signs up new, then those proceeds, part of those proceeds will go to the Clark County Historical Museum. So please help us but more importantly, help this uncovered gem in Southwest Washington and here in Vancouver. It is a really good cause, and it will be money very, very well spent. We promise you.
Bradley, thank you. You are awesome, man. And yeah, Kaylor said it all. So I'm just going to say thank you, listeners. Thank you, people watching. Thank you, Patreons. And we will see you all next time.
Good night.